we tell you about the spirit of giving. As Nelson Mandela Day is being observed tomorrow, Regenesys Business School's EdforAll will be pledging 67 South Africans with bursaries to further their studies. The initiative comes on the back of South Africa's higher education funding crisis spanning many years. Now, over the past few years, we have seen students from various institutions take to the streets against financial inclusion under various banners, including, you'll remember, the very, very famous hashtag Fees Must Fall movement. For more on this initiative, we speak to Regenesys Business School COO, Inderhani Reddy. A very good morning to you, Inderhani. How are you doing?
Good morning. Thank you, Inderhani.
Inderhani. Thank you very much. I do beg your pardon.
No.
So tell us about the initiative and why Regenesys decided to plug the gap where higher education is concerned.
So, Dudu, I think many things considered. Mandela Day was on our doorstep. The eradication of poverty and crime in our country comes top of mind. And more so, it was the 67 minutes. When we talk 67 minutes, over the years, I always see this lastminute.com. What do we do to participate, to give back in memory of this icon that has served the world through South Africa and our democracy? And 67 minutes had to go beyond just feeding, clothing, getting to an orphanage, or bringing awareness around poverty and what we can do. So Regenesys, together with its EdforAll, which is the NPO arm of Regenesys Business School, came together and we said, instead of just doing 67 minutes, what about touching 67 lives that really brings about sustainability in a community that will never break away from poverty? And I say that audaciously, never break away, because with no money, there's no education. With no education, there's no job. With no job, there's no education again. And it's this vicious cycle of poverty that just perpetuates our society and our country. The unemployment of our youth is skyrocketing to almost 60% this year, and that's where it's forecasted to go. So how do we wedge and break this vicious cycle? And it's access to education. Premium education, private education, it's unthinkable for the have-nots. NAFSAS only covers about 20,000 bursaries a year, with 200,000 matriculants coming through. Now, what's interesting about EdforAll is, as much as it's education and access to education, it's also for all. There's no gender bias around it. There's no age bias around it. All you need to do to take advantage of this initiative is to come from a background where you are financially disadvantaged to have access to education, and put together a motivation as to why you deserve this opportunity. Now, you don't have to be one of our 67 students. Irrespective of us getting 67 sponsors this Mandela Day, you can access education from as little as 500 Rand per month for the duration of an accredited qualification, from highest certificate all the way to a master's qualification, should you come from an impoverished background.
So this is not a full bursary that have to be some money that these students then contribute?
Correct. So in their time of studying, I'm appealing to sponsors out there as well. This is not just for the 67 lives that we want to impact. It could be 670. It could be 6,700. We're looking for sponsors that would give up one loaf of bread a day. That will take you to 500 Rand per month to sponsor a student. In the time that the student pays this 500 Rand, he has access to the portal of education where he can study online anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world actually. And then at the end of his study or her study, the student will be assisted by Denanda Talent, which is the recruitment arm of the Regenesys Business School. The individual gets a job, and only once he starts earning does he pay a percentage back over a short or long-term period, depending on his financial position at the time.
So now, you also help the students who then would qualify to get a job. What happens if they do not get employment?
So the whole concept around this is to be able to give them an opportunity to get a job. Now, when we talk on national TV, like the opportunity that Newzroom Afrika is giving us today, we also open up the conversation with business partners, government officials. There is opportunity to give our graduates a chance to have this internship. Regenesys also focuses on entrepreneurship, Dudu. So it's not always that you need to beg a job to be able to make this contribution. Having the skill set to be able to think as a business person, to be able to have conversations, to be able to network, to be able to think in a very different way that you wouldn't otherwise without the exposure of education, right, gives students an opportunity to start their own business venture as well.
Fair enough, fair enough. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Inderhani Reddy is with Regenesys Business School. She's the COO there. Thank you.